Hello team, it's Nick here from Hidden Valley Bushcraft, and today is a bit of a miserable one, but fear not, we are going to be doing more easy campfire cooking recipes, and today we're going to be looking at plank cooking. So I'm going to introduce you to that. I have brought along with me my friend Jim. Say hello, Jim.
Hey, hello.
And that's pretty much going to be the sketch. So we're going to head on out the Land Rover now, which is still raining, typical Britain. We've worked hard to procure all of the elements for today's cooking and ingredients from here in the Chew Valley. So I went for a beautiful Chew Valley trout caught here in the lake. I also went for some wonderful organic beef, okay, in the form of a steak from Pierce's Butchers in the Chew Valley, and of course their bacon as well. So absolutely second to none, amazing food. And it's really, really important, we're quite big on food provenance, that you know where your food is coming from. Show the people at home what we've got. We've got some kale. Oh,
Beautiful.
Yep.
Freshly picked.
Ah, the mint. That's from our field. Some good quality olive oil to go with our sea salt. Ooh, some more fennel and some lovely, lovely little cherry tomatoes. What is it? Is it going to be? Potatoes. We've got some wonderful little new potatoes.
Potatoes. And finally,
here he is, the graffiti aubergine. If anyone hasn't seen one of these are kind of cool. It's called a graffiti aubergine. This is going to be our amazing surf and turf. Going to go ahead and get this fire on. Boom. Okay, so I've established a good fire. Got some good heat coming through now, and I'm going to make a quick bed of embers so that we've got some decent heat to work with. So we're going to go ahead and turn all of this into an amazing woodland surf and turf. How do you feel, Jim?
Hungry now.
At this point, I just want to eat.
Just food.
Now, of course, the whole purpose for this video today was not just to talk about the food, was actually more to show you guys the technique. We're going to be talking about planking or planked food. Okay, so what does that actually mean? What does it entail? Now, I could just go ahead, okay, and grab something like a piece of cedar, okay. This is a roof tile from our cabin build, and I could go ahead and pin, using some nails, steel nails, I could go and pin the food to the sides of the plank here, and basically, a bit like grilling, offer up the food and kind of peg it into place like that. And so you're cooking here on this side rather than cooking directly above or using direct. So it's known as using indirect heat. So this is cooking using indirect heat. Or if you are actually right out there in the middle of the woods, you're going to have to go ahead and think about making yourself a board or some kind of platform to be able to pin and suspend your food from. So let's have a think about this. Obviously I've got a knife, okay, and we've got some knowledge and know-how which weighs nothing. So we're going to go ahead and make ourselves and forge ourselves some little handmade wooden pegs, probably about 1 inch long, just over 1 inch, and I'm going to make them out of something like a good quality hardwood, maybe an oak. We might get away with a medium wood if it's seasoned, like hazel or something like that. And then we're going to go ahead and we're going to drive them through using a wooden mallet through the food and through the soft grain of today's wood, which is going to be, looking at the wood store, I've got some bits of poplar, so we'll probably split this poplar open and then pin the food to the side of the poplar, stand it up next to the fire and go ahead and cook. So I'm going to need heavy duty splitting maul. Oh, just look at that, this is still really quite wet. So what I want to try and do is try to get a good even split and give myself 2 decent pieces to be able to work with. Okay, so one face that I'm going to clean up then with my smaller camp axe, because as you can see all these kind of ridges and stuff in here. This will make a nice clean surface to cook from. And of course we've now got this one as well. Look at that beautiful coloration between the heart and the sapwood in this poplar. Going to have a little bit of a job just cleaning up this face and making good of it, but again, beautiful surface to be cooking with. Okay, so in the interest of keeping this nice and clean, this face, all I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and just remove all these ridges and try and make it a little bit flatter. It's not got to be inch perfect, guys, but it's got to be better than it is currently. So I'm going to tilt the piece of work up. Okay, the head of the axe is going up and down, and all that's happening is I'm rotating the piece of work, bringing it forward now and just removing those chunks And again, all I'm looking to do is just straighten up the face a little bit more than it is. Not going to go mad here. Just making an altogether slightly flatter surface. Now there's a knot here, don't be worried about that, just go straight through it. Those little initial notches in, and what that's doing is it's just finding all the high points on there already, and then just basically stand that up and drive those off. It's pretty simple process. That'll do. I mean, there's a couple of points on here that are still standing out to me being a bit of a perfectionist. Just want to get rid of some of those. You know what, that'll do. He says that'll do, put it down. Right, 1. Repeat that process for every piece of wood. That's not too bad, that'll do. Okay. If I can really, I want to be getting rid of the pith, because this is where all those kind of harsh tannins are, where the tree's trying to protect itself against the fungal decay that's got in here and evidently killed it, and I wouldn't want any sort of transfer of taste. On that point, I should really mention different types of wood are going to do different things for wild cooking. Cooking with something like alder would be ideal for something like fish. That works really well. I've cooked with all sorts of stuff over the years. Cedar gives off an incredible taste, so if you can get cedar planking like the ones we've got over there, then do that. Oak is highly revered for cooking with. Obviously it gives that lovely oak smoked flavour. Never try to do this with something like yew, laburnum, or anything which is poisonous, because it goes without saying that will transfer into the food, and you're going to have to think about that a little bit, guys. So tree identification is quite important. Right, back to cleaning up the faces. That's actually pretty good. Right, just going to make some hardwood pegs. So as we just go and drop down into the bowl here, there is an oak tree which recently I was harvesting legs with a chainsaw to make our tables and our new camp. And I'm hoping I can find some smaller branches where I can get off the right size pieces to make pegs relatively easy, make life easier for myself. So here's the oak I was talking about. You can see where I've been sawing up bits with the chainsaw to make legs for the table, etc. And here's the growth I was on about. So we'll just go and tidy this up. Lovely oak, and it's quite well seasoned. So we'll go ahead and take this back, we'll process it down and turn it into just over inch long pegs, and then we'll drive these through the grain of the poplar and through the food, of course. A lot of people talk about these being not as good as a silky. I think if you get used to what you're used to working with, and then you kind of get good at it. And using the entirety of the saw, this is English oak, and it's making relatively light work of it. I'm not sure. I think the Laplander gets a bad press sometimes. I know it's quite a cheap item, but it really is a good quality bit of kit. The next step basically be very simply battening through, so as such, taking a mallet and then splitting these down, okay, and splitting them down again, and then again, and then taking one of these small pieces here and beginning to manipulate this with a knife now to create a razor sharp little peg capable of pinning a piece of food to the poplar, which is going to be softer. So I need to make myself a a bit of a point. Using the belly of the blade. So all I'm going to do is make some short, sharp, hard, aggressive looking little pegs here, and I'm going to go ahead and chamfer the ends over. And I'm doing that so that when I strike these with a hammer or piece of wood or the back of my axe, that kinetic energy isn't lost. So let's go and give you a quick example. Okay, let's go for the heartwood, somewhere like that. See whether we can get this to bite. Okay, that's going to bite perfectly fine, and then I'm going to stand up that food that's suspended by these pegs. Yeah, that's it, and we'll just keep going. Keep reducing them down in size until you've got sort of little 16ths, and then start carving the pegs.
And again?
Yep. That's it. Okay, so this is where we've got to now. Some lovely pegs being created. How are you getting on, Jim?
We're getting there.
Now that fire's coming along nicely. I'm just going to push in all the sides. Are we nearly there?
I think we've got enough to make a start, chef.
Excellent, excellent. It's exciting. Hopefully you can hear that rain. Okay, so my plan is just using the humble MSR pot. What I think I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to pour some water in here from my my canteen, from my water bottles. I'm going to get started on those potatoes with some sea salt. I'm going to start those parboiling. With the lid, we're going to lay the cherry tomatoes in here, cover them with a drizzle of olive oil, again maybe a touch of sea salt, and they're going to go next to the fire and just start slowly roasting. Okay, and then we're going to start preparing. We'll start off with our steak and our bacon, which is pretty straightforward. We're going to go ahead and peg some of that out on here. We're going to slice up our graffiti aubergine. That's going to get pegged on here, and then the rest is reserved for that wonderful Chew Valley trout. I think the kale is going to be a straightforward little drizzle of olive oil, and we'll do these straight over the fire. These lovely cherry tomatoes. So when you are cooking like this, it's quite important to use the back of your hand to feel that heat spot and find out where that optimal place is to place your food. And this is particularly prevalent and very important when you are doing the technique that we are today, which is going to be planking. You lick the back of your hand, okay, and approach the fire with the back of your hand, and with a moist back of your hand, you will know pretty quick where that kind of optimal point is, where things are going to cook at their very best. It is tropical out here right now. We'll just put that up there like that, and now we're going to have to go ahead and peg it on this. This is where we, moment of justice, do our pegs work or not? Oh, that one is in, ladies and gentlemen. This one is almost in. And that one, oh, missed. Can't believe I just missed. Just whacked my finger. I'm gonna have to resharpen those. Okay. 50-50. That is how that will work, okay? So that's that tapped in there now. And go ahead, find this little place. I want to start it real slow, real slow. I'm just going to lay that there for now. We've still got much to do. Let's get some bacon on our board. Stunning, very full bits of bacon. One solid plank of glorious bacon for our surf and turf. Without trying to throw bacon everywhere, I'm going to try to get these pinned in. Nope. If it goes without saying, if it's not going in, just put it to one side, resharpen it and try again. If you make your pegs too long, they tend to set fire before the food actually gets cooked. And yes, I've done that before. I've said all along, Frustration and failure are my two biggest teachers, and they have been when learning to do this kind of wilderness living skills stuff in the outdoors. You know, you make so many mistakes till you kind of say, right, why did that go wrong? How can I change that? How can I make it better? You know, we live in a technological age where the answers are just given to us. We have more information thrown at us now than we ever have, and yet more and more people struggle with what I just call common sense. I have common sense pointed out to me daily in our comments box by you guys when you're being so diligent as to point out things that I might have said wrong or trip over a word or something like that. Okay, because I'm human. It's a very human thing to make a mistake. As long as you can put your hand up and say, okay, I made a mistake and I won't do that again because, and I will learn from that. That's the importance. Now we're going to try and pin some of these tails. If I can. Ooh. I'm not convinced by that one.
I can see now why we made a big pile.
Yeah, this is it, Jim. This is a reality. Okay, so what's probably happening here is that this poplar tree I've got my hands on, when this came down, obviously it was poorly, which is the reason we took it down. We don't just willy-nilly cut down trees. And I suspect to a degree it has seasoned whilst it's still been dead standing effectively. And so that's now causing slight snags. If it was as green as I maybe thought it first was, I'd be going straight through this with ease. Not the case. Right, that one's bitten. Lovely. Okay, do you know what? That will do. That's going to go next to the fire. That'll get stood up something like this, then we'll just put a big piece of firewood behind it. That can get started. And now we're on to our graffiti eggplant. For those who maybe, you know, don't have to be a meat eater to do this. Cut the top off. Look at that lovely white flesh inside. And then I'm going to probably go and try and cut this into as accurate thin strips as I possibly can. Look at that. And I'll be able to peg these in very much the same way. I could just lightly oil them, put some sea salt on there, and lay these out on here as well. A little bit of olive oil, the obligatory sea salt. So now we've got this constant kind of game and this readjustment as we start to pull the spuds, which are boiling, off. Pull the little tomatoes back, and we're going to try and build this up again a little bit more now that we've got all these elements coming together and we're about to do our fish. I really want to build this up, get a good body of heat in here, and just having a pair of gloves like this just makes life so much easier. So over onto the fish and the last piece of our puzzle. Again, I'm having to shout because of the tropical rainstorm that appears to be happening around us. I've got this lovely, lovely rainbow trout, okay, which was caught here in the Chew Valley, in the Chew Valley Lake. I'm going to flip this over and I'm going to go in, find the spine, okay, keep the tip of the knife against the spine and just start working forward and take the fillet off that way. Okay, the guys have gone ahead and already gutted it for me, which has saved me a bit of time and effort. If that wasn't the case, I'd normally would be going in here, okay, in the cloaca with the tip of my blade, working my way up, okay, and getting my hands inside and pulling everything out. That's pretty much all there is to it in terms of guts. If you look inside now, you can see the rib cage has all been cleared out really nicely, and it's just a good quality, healthy fish. There we go. You can see everything's kind of found its place now. We've just gone ahead and put the trout on. We've got the steak going. I've got lots and lots of heat, with all the heat predominantly going this way. And now I'm just encouraging the coals, which is what you really want to be cooking with, to be moving along. And that's kind of the state you want your fire in. You don't necessarily need the kind of big flame here, okay? There's plenty heat happening here already. And then what you can do is you can go ahead and rotate your pieces of wood around. Now it's just a question of being patient and just timing the whole thing so that everything comes together and is cooked at the same time. Let's go and put these tomatoes back on here. I'm going to go and quickly cut some mint, put some oil in here and give that a turn. It's only the little leaves is what I'm after, just to give these potatoes a bit of punch. Keeping the top pinned and just rolling the blade around is a lovely way to work. Some of that lovely mint, put that in there, good glug of oil, and of course a lovely pinch of salt. Just spin these tomatoes around slightly more. And you can see everything now really starting to cook nicely. That steak is just succulent. The bacon's cooking through. And of course these little aubergine here is doing its thing as well, which is nice to see. And so we're in the final stages of this all coming together, and it's just about trying to make sure that everything is at a similar or ready to present temperature. I've just laid the kale on the coals of these couple of pieces of oak. I'm just going to keep turning them over so they just crisp up nicely, and we'll just literally serve these just charred as they are. You can hear the tomatoes ticking away here. The potatoes done their thing. Everything else is cooked rather nicely. We're just waiting for that last bit of the fish to come good, and we're going to go ahead and stick it on our board, and I am very much looking forward to eating this. How have you found this process today, Jim?
It's been amazing. Yeah, really interesting way of doing stuff, and I can't wait to taste the flambé kale.
It's what we're calling the burnt kale or charred kale. We're calling it flambé kale, which is the new way of saying it. Managed to get the fish off successfully. Now I've got to try and undo all these pegs, and the beauty is there's no washing up. The pegs can literally go back onto the forest floor. Smoked bacon, oh, just look at that, just beautiful. Just going to put a couple of these on here as well, because why not? They are just absolutely stunning. I'm going to put them in this little kale enclave up here. It's not that I'm okay, so I suppose I am actually technically deliberately marginalising the veg. The veg is very important as well. It's just I really want to celebrate the meat. An animal has had to give its life for it to find its way here. And you've got all that olive oil and mint on there as well. Oh, just mix it all up, get it all on there. That is just a platter of absolute flavour. And the only thing we've got to worry about washing up is one little MSR pan, which is not going to take too long at all. There's nothing too grisly in there, and nothing that a little bit of warm water won't take care of. Sit down, Jim. Well deserved.
Worked hard for this.
Yeah, you absolutely did, my friend. Just look at that. Oh, the excitement. Skin on, skin off, I don't care.
Oh my god.
Oh my god. Oh, it's so good. Oh, the excitement. Oh, the excitement.
Chef.
I'm in. Wow, that is so soft.
Well,
and
perfect.
yet completely cooked. I'm going to have the fat and everything.